not unless you enjoy losing your front splitter on the way to the office. I'm sure you don't. You'd have to be quite a weird person to enjoy such things. Car Obsession is proudly supported by Carly and Draggy. Check out the video description to find out the latest discount codes. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another episode of Cheap Thrills, the series in which I bring you fun cars for under £5,000. This time it is all about the Mk1 SEAT Leon Cupra R, the sexier, more powerful Spanish version of the Mk4 Golf GTI. So let's go out for a drive and see how this modern classic drives. For starters, this has a 1.8 litre turbocharged 20 valve petrol engine. It offers 210 horsepower along with 270 newton meters of torque. What does it do when it comes to performance? Well, this will hit 62 miles per hour in 7.2 seconds, which, okay, nowadays is a little bit slow, but 20 years ago that was pretty brisk. And the top speed, if you can continue, is 147 miles per hour. This engine is the engine code AMK, but the facelifted version of this car, this is a pre-facelift, the facelifted version had the BAM engine. That had 225 horsepower, along with, I believe, 280 newton meters of torque. 0 to 62 was dropped down to 6.8 seconds in that region, and the top speed was improved to 150 miles per hour. Now, there is a bit of lag in this car, if I'm going to be honest. You do need to wait a little bit longer for the K04 to spool up and to give you a bit of boost. But the engine makes a nice growl as you wait for it to do something, and you may hear that kind of Darth Vader-esque noise under the bonnet. That is thanks to a ram air induction kit, which is a popular modification for this car. This car, for the most part, is pretty much standard. I do have the ram air induction kit that I've mentioned, as well as wind deflectors and a rear wiper delete, which I argue is pointless, but hey ho, that's how the car came. Now, is this car fun? Yes, it is. The handling isn't the most playful. I'm going to hit a few twisties now, so drop it down 1 or 2 cogs. The brakes are supplied by Brembo. They perform well, but I would want a bit more bite. Now, the steering is hydraulic, which is a good thing, because it means you get a more natural feeling. It feels, well, it just feels better. The downside, this car is pushing 20 years old, and the steering, yeah, it's a bit vague. It's not exactly full of communication. There's also a bit of body roll to contend with in the corners, and I would say this car is sure-footed, but not playful. It's not the most entertaining. It's not exactly trying to get the back out on a bit of lift-off oversteer. Now, fitted around the newly refurbished 18-inch alloys, I've got Hankook Ventus S1 Evo tyres. It's such a long name, I forget it. They wouldn't be my choice of tyre, but they do work well enough. Now, these sport seats are nice, but they do lack a bit of support. When you're really going down your favourite B road, you do find yourself not so much falling out of them, but yeah, I would definitely want to be hugged a bit more by these seats. Now, if you can find one, because they are rare, you can get the Mk1 Leon Cupra R with the optional Recaro seats. Well, they would have been optional at the time, but yes, they are quite hard to come by. To be honest, they do look rather similar, but I'm sure they do feel better. As I may have mentioned, there is a bit of roll in the corners as well, and this isn't exactly a light car. Believe it or not, it's actually 100 kilograms heavier than the Golf GTI. That's not known for being lightweight, is it? Yeah, it's not fast, but it's peppy, it's punchy, it's got just about the right amount of performance, particularly to use on public roads in Britain where there's a speed camera hiding in almost every bush. Hang on a minute. No, we're good, we're good. Now the driving position is pretty much bang on in regards to ergonomics, although to be fair there's not really much to communicate with in here, but dare I say I'd want the seat to be set a little bit lower. Oh, I'll have to get an ice cream later. I've got some cash in me.
I was going to interrupt, but no, I better not.
Now let's speak about the ride, which is naturally firm. It has to be. It's a hot hatch. But is it firm enough to the point where it feels like your fillings are going to fall out and you couldn't drive this every day unless you just had no nerve endings? No, it is firm, but I think the seats, although they're not the most supportive, they are comfortable enough to allow you to use this every day. The only thing I will say, and this is quite a common problem with the Mk1 Leon Cupra Rs, and I'll speak about this common problems in a bit more depth later, is the front splitters. They are very susceptible, very prone for being ripped off by speed humps and anything of that nature. So just bear that in mind. If you've got a commute to work that features lots of speed humps, this might not be the car for you, not unless you enjoy losing your front splitter on the way to the office. I'm sure you don't. You'd have to be quite a weird person to enjoy such things. Now the interior. Oh my, where do I start with it? Well, it's very black, it's very plastic. It doesn't scream quality, it screams budget. But to be fair, there are some plus points to that. As you can see by these clips that I've put in of B-roll, the dash has really stood the test of time well. None of the buttons have faded or been worn. Everything still feels sturdy, it feels well put together. There aren't as many rattles in here as you may expect. There's one or two, but it's 20 years old. Now, when you're getting on in life, I'm sure you'd have a few rattles here and there. A little bit of torque steer. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, I don't think I have. The gear change is really pleasant, maybe a bit long, but for a stock gear change, it's really good. It feels mechanical, it's got a nice weight to it, and it's quite precise as well. It's got a nice kind of meaty feeling as you really work your way through the gears. I like that this car as a whole, it feels and looks quite meaty. I love the styling of the Mk1, I really do. It is a very pleasing car. Now, one of the joys of a hot hatch of this age is simplicity. I've got no touchscreens in here. I've got no drive modes. I've got no fancy diffs or anything like that, no ELSDs. I love the fact that this car is very old school in its approach. All you've got is a turbocharged engine, 6-speed gearbox, and away you go. Okay, I do have traction control, but this takes you back to a time where, okay, hot hatches weren't as powerful or as quick, but they were a bit more honest, just more simplistic. A bit more raw, a bit more analog, and I like that. Yeah, I would be lying if I said I wouldn't want more power in this car, but it's easily fixed with a stage 1 remap. Oh, bumps, no! Don't take the splitter off, please. Sling it in. It is quite roly-poly, I must admit. This could definitely benefit from some lowering springs or coilovers, if I'm going to be honest. So, if you are looking at buying one of these and you're looking to modify it, my top tips would be suspension, for sure, because yeah, it definitely feels not. Okay, I was going to say boaty. That would be really harsh, but yeah, it's a little bit wallery, if I'm going to be honest. A remap would do the trick very nicely. And exhaust, although the car in its standard form actually sounds okay in my opinion. For this particular car, I'd say if I were keeping this, I would probably address the suspension first, because yeah, it is a little bit of a letdown for the car. So then, on to common issues. Speaking from personal experience, ignition coils can come over all chocolatey and have a tendency to fail. This will cause a misfire and an engine management light. This should be an easy fix though, as well as being cost effective. Rocker cover gaskets can fail, which will cause an oil leak. The 1.8 turbo engine for the most part is a reliable unit, but make sure it's been serviced correctly and that the cam belt has been replaced at the correct intervals. There is a small clip that connects the clutch pedal to the clutch master cylinder, which has been known to fail. The parts to repair it aren't expensive, but the labour may be. Door seals are also known to be a weak area, so if you notice a damp smell in the cabin, or you notice that the carpets are wet to the touch, that could leave you with a sinking feeling. Like other Volkswagen Automotive Group vehicles, the door latches can be prone to failure and replacement parts aren't cheap. There aren't many standard versions left, so if you are looking at a modified one, just make sure quality parts have been used and not eBay specials. If the car has been remapped, make sure the car has a printout and that it has been remapped by a reputable company. And there we have it, the Mk1 SEAT Leon Cupra R, a Spanish hot hatch that proves that the Mk4 Golf platform doesn't have to be a letdown. It looks great, it's highly tunable, and in my opinion can represent fantastic value on the used car market. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you have enjoyed it. If so, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.